When I decided to go public with this, everything that I've learned and what I want to try to get across to people in my record sound isn't the greatest again. I'm in an echo chamber here with hardwood floors and everything, um, and windows open. But when deciding on how to best go about this, how to best go about explaining to people what I've spent 14 years learning about, there's a lot involved in this. And how to best get across the idea of these patents and how patents and intellectual properties really controls everything about us. That is the controlling factor of everything that is our reality. Our reality is based on what we don't see, what we don't know about, and what we don't even have an inkling of knowledge even exists because nobody ever gave us that inkling of knowledge. But there's a lot to this thing. So it's in deciding on how to best get this out to people and try to explain this. I mean, there's a lot involved here. There's the form that's involved in all this stuff. There's the forming of this nation. It's formed on letters, patent, and charters that people have never learned before. People don't understand or don't know about. So there's those things. There's religion. What was this nation formed as a Christian nation, or was it formed as a not a Christian nation? And it wasn't. It was formed on deism and theistic rationalism. So there's those things to talk about because all these things compound into what it wrap around this whole model of patents and everything that we're about. Because when we talk about patents, we're talking about objects of the universe. Okay. And so we get into metaphysics, we get into spiritual aspects, we get into all kinds of things that are intangible, that are within the mind, that are but also within science, within natural sciences, the physical sciences, mathematics, quantum physics, all these things. Okay, but ultimately, what it comes down to faith, because no science is perfectly 1,000% accurate. There's always a margin of error. And it also comes down to, faith and proving the existence of God or God in your own mind as far as creating the universe. And we'll go through all these things. That falls right into deism and theistic rationalism. So there's those things. Let's see what else. There's I can't remember my writing. There's Protestantism. There's Catholicism. Very important. And there's the metaphysics of this thing, which gets into all kinds of ologies like epistemology and ontology, which is the first being the study of knowledge, the second being the study of being. There's trademarks, there's copyrights, of course, and then there's species and genus. We're in the species of man, but then there's genus and there's genus objects. These are all things that relate, that operate in patents, the things that create our reality. Okay. We're so conditioned to looking at the legalese behind everything, and rightfully so, because we've got civil law that is the laws that we're made to be obedient to, and the laws that we fight against, we do it in civil law. But that's all formed upon the language of art. So the meaning of words within patents and trademarks have many different meanings. We always talk about the FBI and the ABC entities and everything. That's all well and good, but we got to go deeper than that. We've got to get into the ologies of this, which is all its epistemology and ontology and the metaphysics of these things, because that's what our reality is formed upon. And once you understand that, you'll understand the world as it operates, you'll understand the government as it operates, and you'll understand a lot of things that hopefully will dissipate a lot of the anger. I get it. There's a lot of anger. I get it. The Republicans hate the Democrats. Democrats hate the Republicans. We all hate government, blah, blah, so on and so forth. I get it. But we do have a responsibility in this, and we have failed at our responsibility. Not all by our fault, but partially by our fault, but mostly because we've been so deceived to believe in certain things that go in a different direction to where we should be looking. And so these are all the things that go into what I'm talking about and what I've learned. There's of course, there's a freedom of religion. And that's really the biggest thing about this, to gaining our freedom, if you will, is by enforcing your freedom of religion, which is either renouncing or declaring your religious beliefs. That's one aspect. Then you can look at this another way. You can say, well, screw the religion part. This is just business. At the end of the day, really, that's just kind of what this is. This is just business. It's no different than calling the hedge. It's no different than calling the hedge as you would on Wall Street or within investments. You call the hedge on something that is insured and hedged against, and you're calling the hedge on the business model. That's what this is. Everything we're talking about here, everything that we're going to be talking about here, everything that I talked about, the Merged Nations Bank Agreement and all the things thus far, it's all a business model. Okay, it's all a business model that is designed to be kept secret from us so that we don't learn about it, so that at the end of our lives when we die, all of these business lines will dissipate. Well, actually, they dissipate throughout our lives. They're dissipating every year through different trusts and everything because we haven't claimed them. But all these things that go to the estate that is really held in abeyance for us, should we ever become knowledgeable and come forward and call the hedge on the business model. So that's what we're talking about here. So at the end of the day, we're just talking about something very simple, which is calling the hedge on this business model that was used to deceive us, to profit from by many different individuals, by the billionaires, by attorneys at law. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about attorneys at law. Patent attorneys at law run this country. Okay, we're going to talk about all those things, but in deciding how to present this thing, there's a lot to it. So it's difficult to try to pin down how exactly to convey this to people. Now, I could start at one little point here with one little aspect of this thing and kind of grow this in progression. But I don't know if that really does. I don't know if that is the best way to do it. I think the best way to do it is kind of splash it. As I've been doing, I splashed with the FATCA, I splashed with the gleaning of a patent, and I splashed in with MERS. And I think maybe that's the best way to do it, at least for now, to get people's interest. And then, of course, as these things build up, there's going to be more. They'll be grouped together within YouTube so that so each one can be put in its proper category, I guess you could say, so that it'll start making sense, or so that people can look at it in whatever aspect they want to best learn. But this is a very difficult topic to conquer. But it's necessary. I feel it's absolutely necessary. I've gained a lot of knowledge in many years. I sacrificed a career in architecture to learn all this stuff. And it's got to get out there somehow, and I've got to figure out the best way to do that. And so this is the best way I think to do it, is just start splashing it around, so that I can get people's interest and start getting people to start thinking to themselves, "Well, wait a second here, maybe there's something I need to look into." So anyhow, that's just mental thoughts on my mind that I wanted to just kind of express. Thank you again. Please keep following. Please share. Please donate if you can. And we're going to go on to the next one. Thank you. Have a good day.